Hello, welcome back to Diary of a Creator. So, I am continuing with the theme of diving into all of the ways that we can go wrong on this process to creating. And this is a bit of a big topic today because there are many different facets that go into this. But overall, it's about not being truthful with our current reality. And we can do this in many different shapes and forms, but this is what will trip a lot of people up, at least from the understanding. And certainly, my initial understandings of just reading, like, Law of Attraction and The Secret, and seeing all of these people on social media, like, you can have whatever you want, that kind of energy, without actually explaining the undercurrent of what's required to do that. And the answers lie in the current reality, which is where you are right now. And by and large, if you are trying to get somewhere in life and you are struggling, or you're not achieving what you want, or you're not sitting in fulfillment and freedom and joy and all of these things, then a bulk of your current reality is going to be ego mind based, which is why we need to focus on it. And so, some examples of how we can not be truthful to ourselves about our current reality. One of the biggest ones is positivity, love and light, everything is fine, all is well, in essence, bypassing. It is not being able to accept that the nature of reality is duality. There is light and there is dark. Sometimes you're going to feel dark AF, and sometimes you're going to feel light too. But what can be a bit of a trick in this, and it's certainly one that's been expressed out in this industry, is this love and light bypass. But that might not be your reality. Like, you may be in love and light in that moment, but generally speaking, the planet is not all love and light. And if the planet's not all love and light, then we're not all love and light, because what is outside is a reflection of inside. And so this is a tripped one, because in many of the learnings, it's like vibrate to what you want. And absolutely, there's an element of that. But the difference is, it's not about vibrating where you want all of the time, particularly if you're ignoring the reality of what you're actually feeling. And this can be, it's very programmed in us to really resist the lows, resist anger, resist shame, resist guilt, resist feeling all of these things. We literally resist our own shadow. But by resisting our own shadow, aka our current reality, we don't see it properly. If we don't see it properly, we can't understand how it's actually derailing us and controlling us probably a lot more than you would think it will be. The other way we do this is fighting ourselves out of the lows. So, got to get out of that, just get into the high. But we're actually creating a resistance to it. And the tricky balance with this, obviously, is like, it's not about sitting in these pity parties, which that's my technique. I am a pity partier through and through. But it's not about, you've got to acknowledge that it's there. You need to witness and notice. And you don't need to necessarily sit in it, but you do need to understand that it is there, that the part of you that is scared right now, or feeling sad, or any of these things, is there. And acknowledging that and working through it. Another one is magical thinking. And I've been guilty of this, where you really don't, you create a vision and you don't create your anchor point of where you are. It's just like, a really the example of this would be someone who is living in poverty, and in their manifestations, they want a mansion. Now, like, you got to think about that and the reality in the grand scheme, because this isn't about like clicking your fingers and you just like win lotto. I mean, sure, that will happen to some people, but this is more, your visions will naturally be uncomfortable, as in they feel quite far out, but if you, that's really far out, like, and that can happen. But when we kind of put that magical thinking in without taking knowledge or taking account of where we are, we haven't been truthful about our current reality. It's not to say put that vision down, it's to say look at that vision in light of the current reality and the tension that exists between the current reality and what you want, because that's the work in that tension. Another way that we're not truthful about our current reality is actually victim thinking. So this is what we can have a tendency to do, where we heighten the reality to be worse than it actually is, to be more concrete than it actually is, and to be more factual than it actually is. So language in this would be, this always happens. Oh, but this continues to happen to me. I'm never going to get that. But very final language where in essence you're actually heightening the current reality for more than it is, because you're kind of like adding on evidence that hasn't even happened yet, because your current reality can only be now. It can't be in the future. And when we start kind of stacking conversation or words like that onto our current reality, we're also not being truthful about it, because that is not the current reality. I'm guilty of pretty much most of these things. My go-to for not being truthful about the current reality is honestly got to be victim thinking. It's the pity party. And it's happened numerous times on this journey. If something doesn't happen in the way that I thought it would, in the timing that I thought it would, I'm like, it's failed. I'm a failure. It's done. I give up. I'm not doing this. I'm not cut out. Blah, like all of this. And that's just heightening a reality that's actually not true either. So it's almost like you can pack on the darkness of the current reality, or you can pack on the light. Both of them are avoiding what's actually there. I tend to pack on the darkness less than I do pack on the light, but I do know a lot of people with different profiles and personality profiles where they will pack on the light. It's the same thing. You are not seeing the current reality for its in its neutrality, and observing it as well. And the thing with anyone who's gone on to create amazing things that you're like, how did they even do that? Not one single one of them is going to tell you that the only thing they did was vibrate their way into them. And it was without a challenge, it was without a journey, it was without lessons, it was without failures, because no path is without any of these things. And when we are creating and going into what our heart wants, sometimes it's going to lead us into challenges and failures and all of these things, because they're part of the learning curve to get you to the end. And whenever we're not really anchored into our current reality, we can tend to almost believe that that's all we need is to just vibrate into what we want. But there is action to take, and the only way you know how to take the action is by taking stock of where you are. That's how we do it. It's what's the next obvious step. It's not, this is the vision at the end. So you'll probably find, if you've used affirmations and trying to stay in high vibes, it's only going to last you so long, because if you haven't addressed the underbelly or the shadow, you'll find that your current reality will continue to keep trying to pull you back. In many ways, it might actually get a bit louder when you are just only seeing the high vibe. And you will start to feel, so as an example, this was this morning, where every morning I do my meditation with my visions in, and I sit in the higher vibration of them. And today, for some reason, pretty much immediately, my current reality wasn't having, or ego wasn't having a bar of it. And the way it will come in is, it's almost like I was actually taking a walk on a path. This is quite a good analogy, actually. And I was looking ahead, and it's almost like the current reality wants to like create this wave over you and kind of pull you back off it. And it will start trying to like tug you back into your, for me, it's victim state of pity party nothing ever works for me, I can't get what I want, this doesn't work, I'm a failure. I have many other things that my ego likes to tell me as well. But it's a tug of war. And in that moment, I made a choice. And so I made a choice to see it, go, all right, feel it, because it's pretty unavoidable. It's like starts to come up as this wave, and then you start to go into it and you start to feel it. And that's the moment where you really have the choice of like, thank you, I see you, I understand that you are scared as shit right now, totally get it, but I'm making a different choice today. Now, I had to do that a little couple times because sometimes your ego and your shadow are going to be more stubborn than on other days. And this is just the reality of the path, is this tension and this tug of war that we need to work with, which is why you need to know your current reality. You need to know your ego. You need to know them as intimately as you would your partner or best friend. You need to know their mood swings, when they come in, what they're going to say to you, all of these things, how they make your body feel. You have to be really aware of it because it's going to tug. And that tug is ultimately when people go into procrastination, sabotage, don't actually do what they want to do, it's because this current reality and the egoic structure has tugged at them so much that they've just got off the path. So this is why this is an important one. So I will leave it with what I would recommend to do as a start is bring full observation and awareness to your current egoic reality. What is the language that your ego uses? When do you feel it coming? How does it speak to you? When does it show up? What does your body do? And actually witness it in moments, because you will be able to feel it. As I said, it's like this, like you're trying to run forward and then all of a sudden there's just something that wants to kind of pull you back, quite like physically too sometimes. Note it down, get really, really, really intimately aware of what's going on in your current reality and all of the ways that you are resisting, because this is where pretty much 90% of the work is. So I'll leave you with that.